And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Gothic Graveyard. This is your eminent host, Reverend Peter. How is everyone today? I'm doing this. I've decided to restart the channel. I kind of got inspired recently. I wanted to kind of get my voice back out in the community, if you will, the esoteric community. I saw a lot of things that we could talk about that a little later on. This isn't really what this video is about per se, but just just to let you know, I wanted to again just kind of get back out there. I feel as not trying to sound egotistical here, but I feel my voice. Uh, is needed. There's a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, a lot of nonsense out there as of late. And I wanted to try to get out there and kind of cut through some of that. Um, yeah, so that's basically why I decided to start this. I kind of want to give to the community. I always have. That's why I've always done these channels and all these online communities I've done over the years. I've always wanted just to give to the community. So that's kind of why we're here. Now I am doing this is kind of more of a bit of a casual setup I got here. We're in the Gothic Chamber sitting room. As you can see, it's a little bit of a cat. We're having a little coffee. We're just having a little chat. I asked on various social media for questions you guys wanted me to address in this video. I have my cheat sheet right here, about half a page worth, so I will get to it as best as I can. And as quickly as I can. Some of these topics are pretty deep, and we all know Reverend Peter likes to ramble. So, do what I can. With that said, for those of you who are new to the channel, just want to kind of try to figure out what I'm about, what's going on here. Let me just give a quick backstory. My name is Peter White, aka the Reverend. That's a whole nother story how I got that title. We can talk again. I've talked about that in the past, and we can we can we can address that in another video. But needless to say, that's one of my I am an actually ordained Wiccan reverend, just for the record, and I do legal hand fastings, pagan weddings. With that said, though, I've been involved in the religion of. I consider myself a Wiccan for the past, an eclectic Wiccan for about the past 20 years ish. Since about 2000, I got into it. I've been reading tarot about as long professionally. I've been all over Salem, Mass. Worked all the large fairs and shops. I own my own store by the waterfront for a while. I've been interviewed by the History Channel for my witch knowledge and also several radio shows. So, been around the block a few times. And I really enjoy it. I get a lot of fulfillment out of it. I like sharing it with everyone. And if I can open a wide net and include as many people as we can, I think that's only a good thing. Anyone who can find some sort of fulfillment in either the spiritual side of witchcraft or the religion of Wicca or somewhere in between, I think that's a good thing. If we can all come together, um, share, explore together, be one with each other, I think that's only a good thing. Especially in I'm recording this in late September 2020. Considering the world's almost on fire at this point, I think togetherness, inclusiveness, helping our fellow person is a good thing, and that's what I like to do. So that's in a nutshell. That's how what I did and about me and what I've been into. Uh, I, as I said, I've been doing this since about 2000. Before then, I was into the paranormal studies. Before ghost hunters and all the offshoots of that became a thing, I was studying the paranormal and really getting to that. In fact, when I was living and working up in Salem, I was actually trained by a local paranormal organization up there that is actually associated with TAPS. And if any Ghost Hunter TV show fans are watching, you realize that's the name of their organization. So the group who trained me actually got initially trained by TAPS. And I have been on several good little ghost hunts and got some pretty interesting experiences along that line. If you guys ever want to have a video of me talking about the paranormal proper, just a video talking about that, some of my experiences, the process of investigating and everything, let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely do a video on that if there's some interest. So, with all that said, and me, also, as I said, I'm doing this kind of casually in the Gothic Chamber sitting room. I know it's a little echoey. I'm doing this on my laptop as well, not my desktop, which is a bit more set up for more professional streaming and video taking and what have you. But I want to just kind of sit back here on the couch. Oh, let me adjust this here. See, I got my couch here. You can sit back, have a nice little chat, have some coffee. Yeah, just us having a little chat. A little chit chat. So let's get right into it. Let's get right into it because hopefully I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. I know hour-long videos probably don't do well anymore on YouTube, so I will try to keep this around 20 minutes. So, but knowing me, we'll see. So, my brother from another mother, Ray Gould, we're going to start with his first question. What is step one as a pre-beginner? Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness, where to start? All right. Now, that's a very broad question. We could be talking about the religion of witchcraft or the spiritual arts. I'm sorry, the religion of Wicca and the spiritual arts of witchcraft. Now, while there is definitely crossover between those two, they are actually two separate entities. One can be a witch, not necessarily a Wiccan. One can be a Wiccan, not necessarily dive too deeply into the arts of witchcraft. There definitely is crossover, but that there is, while there is some fuzziness there, they are two distinct entities. Now, because I know Ray, I think he's talking more about witchcraft, the arts and spiritual skills of witchcraft, not so much the religion of Wicca. So I'm going to focus this answer mostly to him and what I believe he's actually what he's asking. However, for those watching that want that question applied to Wicca, at the end, I'll address that very quickly as well. Now, if you want to get involved in witchcraft, the first thing, and I say this, and I believe this should apply to anything you do. You got to know where you've been to know where you're going. The history of witchcraft is not only very interesting, but I think it's very important. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of misconceptions, especially a lot of the books that were written in the 70s and 80s. There is a lot of fantasy history in those books. Now, I'm going to suggest some of these books coming up here. But I also going to see, put a stipulation, the history part of the books, ignore. Now, the modern history of Wicca, the rituals, the practices, the exercise, all that great information, great stuff in that books. But the first chapter when it talks about the history, half of that is just, I want this to sound, they tried to fluff it up to make it sound really good, and it's in the realm of not even close to factually correct, which is fine. As I said, if you take the history part of many of those books written back in the day aside, and you just focus on the practice and the arts and the modern skills, great books. And that's what I always say. Now, that said, I think the first thing you really need to do is, again, understand where, witchcraft. Now, witchcraft, in of itself, there are three distinct and correct ways to look at it. You could look at it from an anthropological point of view. You could look at it from a secular historical point of view. And you could look at it from a historical religious point of view. All three views are valid, and several times they will actually contradict with each other. This is why you get the fire and brimstone, some fire and brimstone Christians on their little soapbox saying, all you people practicing witchcraft are going to burn in hell. And then you have people like me who are practicing witches, or wizards if you prefer, say, no, we don't even believe in your Christian devil, and hell is a construct of Norse mythology that the church basically, hijacked and made it into something far more worse for their own ends. But that all aside, we are practicing a herbology and midwifery and divination skills that have been under the umbrella of the arts of traditional witchcraft for millennia. Now, both of those seem very different, very opposed to each other. Technically speaking, they're both correct. Because if you look at it from an anthropological point of view, my interpretation of witchcraft, or where it came from, what it is, the scientific analysis, absolutely 100% correct. However, you look at it from a historical religious point of view, the guy on the soapbox is actually technically correct as well. Because as far as the historical church perspective, that is what witches are, and that's where witches came from. So they're both diametrically opposed to each other, but they're actually both technically correct. And that is why there's so much convolution and so much angst over witchcraft. Because you can have very opposed views, but technically speaking, neither one is wrong. They're just looking at it from two different points of historical reference. And that's like mixing oil and water. You just can't. You either got to both look at it from an anthropological point of view, both look at it from a secular historical point of view, or both look at it from a religious historical point of view. You do that, then you can find some common ground. But you're not, you're not going to if you look at the two different branches trying to come together. Now, there's some overlap. Like you said, the anthropological point of view and the secular historical point of view, there is definitely some overlap, and you can usually find common ground on those two branches. And there's some common grounds you can find from the secular historical and the religious historical, though there is definitely still some contradictions there as well. So, but that's really where the source of the problem about people saying, "Oh, witchcraft is evil," and this and that, and other people saying, "No, it isn't," and that's where this all comes from. So, with that said, I think whether you want to get into the arts of witchcraft or you want to get into the religion of Wicca, the first thing you need to do is pick up this book, History of Witchcraft, by Russell and Alexander. It is, one is a researcher, one's a historian, and they talk about all three branches and how they came to be. All of the three different perspectives of historical witchcraft. So it's a great book. It's very insightful. And reading this, you really understand. Now, I mostly draw from the anthropological, partially secular historical aspects of witchcraft when I talk about it. That's really the viewpoint I'm coming from, the actual archaeological and anthropological aspects of it. But it's you got to know where you're coming from to know where you're going. And this is an excellent book. I suggest no matter what you're looking for, this is your first stop. You read this, you will totally understand where witchcraft originated from ancient and classical times, and how it evolved and died out and got resurrected and all this good and to what we practice today. Couple Cliff Notes version, just put that out there because I don't want to leave that ambiguous. There is no direct connection between what modern neo-pagans and witches and Wiccans practice today to anything that happened 10, 1 to 5,000 years ago. There are bits and pieces that have been reconstructed, resurrected, and reused, but to say that what we practice today is similar or even worse, identical to what we would classify quote unquote witches and wizards and sages and what have you back a millennia or more ago, uh, or even far or back to the classical and ancient times. That is pretty much fiction, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but let's just be honest about who we are and what we're doing. It's fair to say that what we do is a interpretation. We're using parts of what the people, ancient peoples did, but to say it's a something very similar to what they did, or it's a exact reconstruction. Is That's a lot of things over the century, especially the past few centuries, have been added and created for what we practice today. So at the very root, there are certain things that can be traced back to thousands of years ago, but not enough to say, oh, there's some unbroken lineage or unbroken lines. It sounds great on paper. It looks great when you're writing a book and you go, oh, I'm which unfortunately this is what they did in the 80s and such, and partially 90s, is they wrote this great thing about we are a direct lineage, practicing a spirituality or arts that have direct correlation to what people were doing 5,000 years ago. Well, there are some aspects, sure, but a very direct line, no. At best, a very, very scenic route to get there, which is fun again. Which is fun. Now, after that, to answer Ray's question, this is now definitely more to get. Now, once you understand the history, and let me just say, this book. There is also another book I strongly suggest if you want something, some more pretty pictures, more pictures, and you know. Uh, This is a great book as well, The Encyclopedia of Witchcraft by Greenwood. Uh, this uh, this book kind of a little less scholarly than the history of witchcraft. Uh, it's still definitely factually correct and everything, but it takes more. If this is a college 201 course, this is an advanced high school course or pre-college course of the topic. So just it's very good, very knowledgeable. Again, if you're more of a visual person, this absorbing the information rough, basically the same, but this covers it in a little less scholarly context. So if that's you learn better like that, then I absolutely have no problem suggesting this. It's a great book. So once we understand those different parts of witchcraft, the different uh, aspects can be interpreted as, then we get to okay, great. I understand now. I understand the history and I understand all this good stuff, the background. Where do I get to the good stuff? Now, Ray, this is basically I only have one suggestion, and from here, this will spin off into your. This will you'll spin off naturally. The Grimoire for the Apprentice Wizard. Now, it's a little misleading And this is done by a neo-pagan elder over in Zell Ravenheart. He actually, amazing man, amazing life so far. Hopefully, he'll get to do the next course in this book series. It's been delayed for a bit now, but apparently he's working on it. That book, the great thing about that book, now there's a few issues I take with it, but it covers all the aspects of modern day, all the arts of modern day witchcraft and Wicca. For example, everything from herbalism to uh, astrology to mid. I don't want to say midwifery, but health and first aid doesn't really quite cover the technical under the witchcraft under the pagan umbrella. Uh, sorry, the umbrella under witchcraft, the skill sets. Midwifery is actually technically, if you look at it again from an anthropological and secular historical point of view, midwifery was actually under the arts of witchcraft, technically speaking. Uh, and so while this book doesn't cover that exactly, does cover like health remedies and things like that. Also, animal husbandry or you know uh, tracking and um, interacting with wildlife. So all these skills that are under the umbrella of witchcraft, this book covers. Um, just to go very quickly, let me tell you the courses that. Let's see here. We got natural mysteries, the elements, which is there's a nature course, there's a practice course, which is all about using energies and natural magics. There are rites, spellcraft. There is meditation, healing, work cunning or herbalism, divination, conjuring, alchemy, cosmology, math magics, using numbers and using spirituality and magics, um, lore mastery. So just all these topics that are under the umbrella of what we call witchcraft or also wizardry is covered in this book, and this is a great primer on all these different aspects. The great thing about this book is you read it and then you get attracted to, like, for example, the herbalism. Like, oh my God, this aspect of herbalism is really really cool. I want to learn more, and then you get into more books. But this is a great primer about all the arts of and spirituality of witchcraft, or modern day wizardry. And I cannot recommend this book enough. Anyone who wants to, even if you don't want to get into it, you just want to be knowledgeable about, what are the arts of witchcraft, modern day witchcraft. This is perfect. Well, it says wizard, wizard and witch. For the intents of this conversation, we can use them for the most part interchangeably. So um, there is some technical differences, but generally speaking, for what we're talking about now, you can whichever term you feel more comfortable with. I go by both. Uh, if I'm talking to a lot of mundanes, I will, I'll say witch because that's a more popular culture thing to use. But I technically go by the title wizard because I resonate with that a little bit more. But teach our own. So that is the book, Ray. I would suggest. Now from here, this will take you off. You'll encounter a lot of different topics, and you will then go into your own. Again, you'll find some attraction to certain ones, and you'll go on and explore. But this will give you a primer on everything you want to know, and this is a one-stop all book. Now, for those who want to do more than just the arts or of witchcraft or the spirituality and want to get into the religion of Wicca, there are two other books. For those people as well, I think this is a great book. I would strongly suggest this as well. There's some spirituality, but it's very general. It's mostly about the arts and not the spirituality. The spirituality probably takes up maybe 20% of this book. The other 80 is all practical, hands-on, um, material skills. Herbology, um, uh, you know, uh, bushcraft. You know, numbers in magic, and all this good stuff. So definitely check that out. And but these are the other two books I suggest people check out. You do these books, you'll have a great foundation, and then you can again take off in whatever direction you want. The first book, however, I will say the first book, if you want to get into the religion of Wicca, first book you should definitely read Witchcraft for Tomorrow by Doreen Valiente. She was Gerald Gardner, the man who basically founded Wicca. She was his first high priestess and was there from the beginning. And she was alive until 1991, I believe, if I recall my dates correctly. So she was around. This is a great primer. Now, the history in this book is actually pretty. She was actually pretty keen on being as historical, accurate as she could be for when she wrote this. So this is actually you won't see a whole lot of. Keep it on the other books I talked about the macro, the big picture. This is about just the history of how it developed in the part of Britain where she and Gerald were and what she saw. So it's more of a relatively modern historical take on what transpired. When she does talk about really the old ancient peoples, again, use the other books. If you find a conflict, always refer to the other two books I mentioned. But generally speaking, there's not much. She talks mostly about just how it evolved from a modern point of view. And this is the book I really suggest for all people who want to get into modern day Wicca. After that, this is going to sound like a cliche to people who have been around the block a few times, but it wouldn't be a cliche if there wasn't a reason. Scott Cunningham's Wicca Guide to the Solitary Practitioner. Now, the history in his book, that's one of the books that it's mostly fiction. He talks about practicing something that people were doing 10,000 years ago and blah blah blah. Sounds great for a book, and it sounded great in the 1980s. Like, oh, we're all special. We're part of this ancient underground cult that survived for 10,000 years. Blah blah blah. And it's sold books and it's good, but take the history part of this with a grain of salt. But his explanation about what the religion is, how it works, the practices, the rituals, the exercises, cannot recommend enough. So the first chapter, the history, you can, like I say, if you already read the other two books that I suggested, you can skip that and get right to him talking about what modern day Wicca is, the rituals, the beliefs, the practices, all that good ethics, all that good stuff. That's what you should focus on, and this book is excellent for that. And those are my suggestions. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. If you have other suggestions, again, hit me in the comments. Now, there's plenty of other 101. Now, I can already kind of see some people saying, "Oh my God, what about Buckland's Big Blue Book or blah 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 blah." Plenty of ones. These are just the ones that connected the most with me personally, and it doesn't mean I don't mean to slight any of the other authors. So take that as you will. So next question. Laura Lynn Walsh asked me, how are oils used in spell castings? Okay, actually, this is a good question. Oils, like a lot of accessories when it comes to rituals or magic are kind of used in conjunction with other things. Uh, the most the most simple way to do it is to anoint yourself with the oil. You take the oil, you either put it on your chakra places, you know, your third eye, your throat, so on and so forth, while you are visualizing your intent, and just keep visualizing and repeating your intent while you anoint yourself on your chakra points. The other, and I know several people who do it. I've done this a few times. They will use the if it smells, assuming it's a decent, nice smelling oil. Keep in mind, it's a nice concoction. Uh, is to wear it like a perfume or a cologne. I've done that several times. Again, especially if it's about attracting romance or love or lust. Very, yeah. You know, again, just kind of get the general idea of what you want. Visualize that in your mind, in your mind's eye, and you know, and just visualize, you know, basically being a magnet and attracting. I mean, that's for that particular use. But if you uh, if you have a big business, you know, you're looking for a promotion. You know, they're going to make a choice on promotion this week, or there is a big business deal that you want success with, or a court case you're looking for a verdict in your favor, or anything along. Again, wearing that to the meetings, to the court case, to with the client, whatever the case may be. Um, that very very effective, and a lot of people do it that way. Now, the more traditional use of the oils is mostly a lot of, more generally speaking, usually with just candle magic. That is taking a candle of the color of your intent, taking the oil, rubbing it in both your hands, and then you take the candle and you oil it up. No, ladies, get your mind out of the gutter. That's next video. You know, and oil it up. And while you're oiling it up and rubbing the oil in the candle, you're visualizing, you're projecting your intent into the candle. Now, the best way to do this, I find, is imagine light from your body traveling through your hands into the candle as you're rubbing the oil over it and saying your intent under your breath, and visualizing your intent. And the energy, the light from your body into the candle, imagine it the color again of your intent. If you're trying to get rid of a ex-lover who's causing you a lot of grief and you want to banish him, you know, it's a black candle. Imagine a black light going from your body into the through the oil into the candle. If your pet is sick and you want you're hoping, you know, for a speedy healthy recovery, brown candle. Imagine a brown light going through your hand through the oil into the candle. Um, you know, if you're looking again, you want looking for a promotion, or yeah, you're hoping someone you put your resumes out there and you're looking for getting a better job. Green candle, green light for prosperity, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. So those are some of the most common ways to use ritual oil. Also, very quickly to end this, if you get a poppet, or some people call it a mojo bag, uh, you know, when you put your crystals and herbs in it, drizzle a little oil in there as well. Again, visualizing your intent while you're making your bag. Or you could take the oil, put it in your hand, like you're about, you know, in your fingers, just a little dribble, and then whatever stone you're putting in the bag, consecrate the stone again with the intent, visualizing into the stone through the oil. There you go. Hope that's helpful. Jennifer Maddock. Oh goodness, Jennifer, you're killing me here. I would love it if you would explore different pantheons, their origins and similarities. Also, it would be cool just to see the tools you use for rituals. I've almost always been solitary, but the rare times I do get a glimpse into other people's practices, I also learn something and get inspired in some way. Plus, I'm dying to get a closer look into your grimoire and where you find the pages you put into it. Okay, your first inquiry. You want to explore the different pantheons and their origins and similarities. That is a video in and of itself. Now, if you folks would like to see me talk about the Romans versus the Greeks, the Norse versus the Babylonians, the Japanese gods versus the Egyptians, what have you. If you want to see some sort of something like that, hit me up in the comments below, and or on social, or on Facebook, and I'll, you know, if that's some sort of series you guys would be interested in, if Jennifer's onto something, I'll be, yeah, I'll be happy to do some research, and we can really dig into that. My ritual tools, yes, that I can quickly show you. I brought. Let's see, this is my wand. I brought my tools for my altar here to prepare. Prepared. Sometimes I'm prepared. The quartz broke off. I'm actually sending this to the maker of this wand. He's going to repair it for me. Unfortunately, fell off my altar. Crystal broke. You know how it happens. So he's going to. I'm going to try to get him put a numite stone on the tip rather than a quartz. But anyway, this is from Acme Wands. If you Google him, you will find him. He makes custom wands. I believe this wand is still on his page. This particular wand. This was gifted to me. I didn't get it, but it was gifted to me by a former acquaintance of mine in Salem. And yeah, it's I really like it. It's really really a nice piece of wood. He does a wonderful job with these wands. So yeah, I mean they're not cheap. They're not, oh, I'm going to Ezra Green and I'm picking up a wand for $25. You're looking at C note or two or more. So you know uh, they're not cheap, but they're very well made. And if you can afford it, I would strongly suggest it. This is my FMA. This is styled as from a Greek dagger. This, believe it or not, I got this at Ezra Green many moons ago. My very first Athame was actually Egyptian style because when I was first getting into Wicker, I thought I was really lean. I was starting to really kind of eat toward the Egyptian gods and pantheon, but I ended up more Greco-Roman, and now I'm kind of more. I still Apollo and Aphrodite are still in my heart. I still give them reverence, but I'm more now a Freya Odin kind of guy. And yeah, and so this is I can't again. I bought this so long ago. I don't remember what the exact name of it was. All I know is me being mostly Italian. I thought it'd be kind of cool to have a Roman Legion styled blade for my Ethame. So that's it. And then lastly, the last big thing is my chalice. This is not. I got this in Salem, Mass, I believe. Again, you can get this pretty. This is a pretty standard silver-plated chalice you can find Amazon, Ezra Green, I mean, pretty much any of the stores in Salem or your local metaphysical shop. It's pretty standard. This is my second chalice. That's why I was like, oh, you've been doing this for 20 years. It doesn't look that tarnished. This is my very first chalice, which is exact same style, same thing. Is actually on my has been moved to my goddess altar. That one looks basically like copper. It's so tarnished. That one I've had 20 years. This one I've had probably 6 to 8ish. Um, so it still looks and yeah. So it's just a typical silver plated chalice. Yeah. So those are my ritual tools. Hope that was informative or interesting at the very least. And there's something else that we could talk about. Oh, my grimoire. Ugh! You want to get a better look? Okay. This might be again another video, but do this as best as I can here. Give you a quick little look at some of the pages. Now, you ask, where did all this artwork come from? Pretty much all of this came from the Witch's Moon subscription box. It comes with at least one, sometimes up to 3 or 4 pieces of artwork. Usually one big full 8x11 like this, and then a couple smaller ones like this. And yeah, and it's this is now keep in mind this is several years worth of collecting these. Now you probably noticed, Reverend Peter, you're not really writing in your own book. It's just the yeah. I am a very bad neo-pagan wizard when it comes to a book of shadows. I prefer a book with just rituals and information and reference materials, a grimoire. Book if you're gonna do a book of shadows, you should really do it. Write in it, you know, if not if not every day, several times a week. Um, your dreams, your, your results of your rituals, as well as some information like this. I've never been a great at journaling. I've never been great at doing all that kind of stuff. Um, just some people, I just don't have the discipline for it to sit there every day and journal and write in a book of shadows. That just I tried. I just I just don't have that in me per se. Now, anyone who wants a book of shadows, it does it. I give them kudos and I encourage people, especially new people, to do it. As I did when I started my first year or so, I tried and then I just I slowly slipped out of it, and I realized I was more of a grimoire person than a book of shadows person, and that's kind of what we got here. So yeah, this is just spells, um, charts of information. Like for example, here we got various kinds of magical alphabets, the uh, information about the various Sabbats, crystals, herbs, all that kind of information. So yeah, and so that's. No, I won't go through the whole book, but we'll leave it at this. But yeah, so I hope that was interesting, and hopefully it maybe gave you some ideas. All right, let's see. And like I said, if you have any ideas, any more questions, or something you want me to address in the next video, hit me up. Ronald Semco Jr. asks, and I left this for the last because this is going to be a big one. I have a question. Should there, in your opinion, be gatekeeping in witchcraft? Should people just be allowed to just incorporate anything and everything into their practice without respect or dignity to the cultures or traditions those beliefs, etc., come from? I ask because I see so much of this issue come up in groups everywhere. Oh, Ronald. Okay. And to address the very last statement first, yes, this is kind of a current thing going up right now. Oh goodness, my hair, folks, my hair. Um, I'm a Leo. I'm vague. What do you want from me? Okay. There's two topics here. One, you didn't say by name, but I believe this is what you're getting at. It's the cultural appropriation. I think that's what you're getting at. You talk about that and gatekeeping. Now, while there is some interchangeability with those two things, in how I personally see it, they're generally speaking two different topics. Let me explain. Let's talk about gatekeeping first, and we'll get to the cultural appropriation, which is, I think, really the crux of your question, really. But let me explain what I mean about gatekeeping. There's good gatekeeping and bad gatekeeping. What do I mean by that? Someone says, "Oh, I don't need to know the history of witchcraft. I don't need to know what's come before. I don't, you know, I don't care about the whys or the whos or the whens. I just care about the hows." And if I step in and I say, "Well, like I said earlier in this video, you can't know where the hell you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. So, you're really doing yourself not only a disservice, but you're promoting ignorance of a thing that you claim you're part of." And then I get accused of being a gatekeeper. Well, sure, I will wear that particular gatekeeper badge of pride if me trying to get people to be more educated on the belief or spirituality or culture or whatever the case may be. If I'm trying to beat them over the head to be more informed and better educated on that, and they're against that, and they're saying I'm a gatekeeper, absolutely I will wear that gatekeeper badge proudly. Proudly. Sleep perfectly fine at night. Now, if I am someone saying, "Oh, I do oh yeah, talking about, let's say some ritual. Yeah, the way I perform ritual is, I don't generally call the quarters. I just invite spirits generally, and when I'm casting my circle." And someone says, "Oh my God, you don't call the quarters. Oh my God, you're not. You can't be a real witch. You can't be a real Wiccan. Calling the quarters that's critical. Oh my God, what and they just totally try to impose their opinions on how something should be done. That is a very broad, it can be very broad, and do gatekeeping like that. Now that is wrong, and I disagree with that. Now, that's not, again, the clear distinction between, I'm just putting my own personal, I'm still basically doing the same gist. I'm just putting my own personal spin on it, and that's fine. But it's when people totally dismiss what's come before and have no idea and don't pay any heed, and they turn witchcraft into make it up as you go along. That if that's the case, then we're not really part of anything. We're part of a bunch of general ideas hodgepodge together. For something to be something, there has to be a baseline of understanding. There has to be some common ground. Now, from that common ground, we can all kind of shoot out in our own directions and do, things a little differently and include different things and make it our own. I'm not saying witchcraft or the religion of Wicca, you can't tweak and do and make it your own. I've done that. I'm all for that. But you gotta at least at the very beginning understand the basics of why things are why the core foundation is the way it is. You can't build an addition to your house if you don't have a foundation to begin with. And that's like saying, yeah, I want to throw an extra bedroom and bath on my house, and then your neighbor's like, you haven't even built the foundation yet of the house, but you're already talking about an addition. That's putting the cart before the horse. So, so in my view, if you calling people out who are just promoting ignorance or something like that, in my opinion, that's fine, quote unquote, gatekeeping. Trying to trying to educate, say, hey, and you don't have to be a jerk about it. You can say, hey, well, you're kind of doing this wrong because, or you're saying something wrong. Again, and because the reason why is because of this, and you just explain to him, try to educate him, try to help him out. That's I think that's fine. Of course, I've done it. Like, hey, you're kind of reinventing the wheel here, or you're kind of missing the point. The reason why this is done this way, or this is believed this way, is because of this. And oh, you're gatekeeping. You're telling me what you have no right to tell me what to do. But I'm just trying to help you understand. Again, if all you understand are the hows and you don't understand the whys or the whats or the whos, then really, what do you, you're trying to be part of the Indy 500 in a Volvo when everyone else is in a $500,000 sports car. You're gonna you're not gonna get. I mean, you might get some. You might get somewhere, but you're certainly people are gonna be passing you by pretty quickly, and it's you're not gonna find a whole lot of success. So that's the gatekeeping thing. Now, but getting back to cultural appropriation, most of most of today's modern day Wicca and witchcraft is a hodgepodge of cultures and spiritual aspects all hodgepodge together. Um, it's getting to the point where I've seen some people on social media saying tarot's cultural appropriation, smudging cultural appropriation, um, just things, just all things like it's gotten way out of hand. Now, is there cultural appropriation? Yes. However, I don't care where you were born or what kind of DNA you have in you, as long as you're respectful to whatever you're using, and you use it in the same manner that or thereabouts that you traditionally is being used for, then I personally don't see the problem. I think this is a little um, this is a little social justice warrior out of some of those aspects of the SJWs kind of getting a lot of control and just trying way too hard to be just trying way too hard at their job. Now, I'm all for social justice. I'm all for all that good stuff. As anyone who's read my social media, they know. I am all about equality. I'm all for LGBT rights. I am. I consider myself a feminist. I am all for equality and inclusiveness and welcoming everyone and all that good stuff. However, there are some people who take those motives and that too far. and they take it to too much extremes. And this is, I feel, this whole current uproar of cultural appropriation in the pagan, neo-pagan subculture community. That's one of these cases. Again, um, if you take a bundle of sage and you're cleansing your house, you're using it in the same manner that it's been used in, for thousands of years. Um, the whole concept of burning incense, cleansing, what have you. So whether what color your skin is from, how much DNA you have of certain cultures in you or ethnicities in you, I don't really think it matters. Really, there are much bigger fish to fry we need to address than, oh my God, a white person is burning sage. Oh my God, they're appropriating Native American culture, or they're they've included some Buddhism rituals in their ritual. Oh my God, they're appropriating Buddha. They're culturally appropriating whitewashing Buddhism or what have I the core, and the irony is these same people who are practicing uh, modern day witchcraft, who are practicing Wicca or modern day Druidism, or Star or whatever their whatever is. Again, as we talked about at the very beginning of this video, there is there is no direct clear line anymore to what people's, more than a couple hundred years ago, it gets very murky and there's no direct line to what we're doing, or what we're practicing at this point to people from way back when in ancient times or classical times. So they're half a lot of that stuff they use in ritual is appropriating that got included or absorbed from other sources in the past several hundred years, and so it's all a big hodgepodge. It's hypocritical for someone who's practicing a neo-pagan, witchcraft or neo-pagan religion to say, oh, cultural appropriation, this terrorist cultural appropriation, smudging's cultural appropriation, this and that, this all. But then they go and they're doing a ritual that has some roots in uh, Indian, as in the country, not the the American Indians. Has some roots there. Has some roots in Middle Eastern um, rituals that have roots in Middle Eastern uh, background. Have roots from all different cultures and religions over thousands of years. So it's I just have a hard time getting fired up over this because of that reason. I just don't see the problem. Now, the only caveat to this is if you using something in a very disrespectful, disingenuous way it was used by that culture. For example, someone using um, deck of tarot cards and they were using it to scam someone out of money, or someone who was hiring themselves out as, I'll cleanse the evil spirits from your house with my sage or whatever, and they didn't really believe it. They were just taking advantage of scared or frightened people who believed there was an entity in their home, and they didn't believe in the powers or saging or smudging, but they were just using it just to scam these people to get some money. So and they didn't really care what result, if any, was had by it. They would just do it. Now that I think you can make some argument, aside from the moral and ethic issues of what they were doing. I think then you could argue, okay, on top of being just really disgusting people, they were being more, you could say that they were. I mean, you could probably make an argument about, cultural appropriation because they were um, using these ideals and these techniques and beliefs or spirituality of to something totally, totally opposite of its desired intent. So there you have it. Well, this went on for a little bit longer than I thought, but that's how the Reverend rolls, guys. So if you got any ideas for my next video, hit me up below. If you got any comments about this, any thoughts, you want to exchange some more ideas, again, hit me up below. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hate. I mean, I'm a Leo. I'm an attention whore, but I still, when it comes to begging people to like and subscribe, it's like it seems like a little too harsh, really, a little too harsh for the Reverend. But it's YouTube. You gotta do what you gotta. So I think that's it. So with that said, folks, thank you so much for joining me. I hope we had a little fun with a little coffee time here in the Gothic Chamber sitting room. If this is too echoey, we don't like this more casual setting. Let me know. Again, hit me up below. Let me know what you thought of the quality. If you want me to, if it is too echoey, I'll definitely move it back to my main workstation for the next video. And yeah, so have a wonderful evening. And remember, laugh hard, never fear, and be kind. Not only to yourself, but more importantly, to each other. Blessings.